Welcome to this week's episode of the Farmstead Revival. I'm your host, Janelle Anderson, along with my co-host, Trudi Skedswold, who happens to be my littlest sister.
On this week's episode, our sister Amanda actually had come to me with the idea of doing bringing the farm to the city, meaning people that are living in smaller communities or living in the suburbs. What can you do to bring the farm to your little place of living? So
I love that idea.
So we're going to go into it, as briefly and that we can, and we're going to see where we end up. So,
because you never know what's going to
No, we don't know what's going to happen because it just kind of goes wherever.
So Amanda lives in the city, so we're just going to call her a city folk. But we always knew that she was destined for the city, and she was going to leave the country as fast as she could when she turned 18. But with that said, I think that she brings up a really valid point of you don't need to live in the country to grow your own food, raise some of your own food, and then figure out how you can source it.
Yes, or even get your own food locally sourced is what I wanted to put in there, but you already said that. The problem with living in a small city and then having your house on a small acreage, or even not even an acre, maybe a half acre, would be limited space. I'm going to ask you, how would you go about if you were living in limited space to maybe have a garden or grow some plants?
I'm going to just be totally clear here. I am not a gardener. Actually, my friend Anne of All Trades, she has a series that's going on and it's called The Lazy Gardener. And I was telling Ben about it. And I'm like, Ben, I'm the terrible gardener. He's like, yeah, you're the terrible gardener and the lazy gardener.
You're both.
I was like, yes. So, okay, that got off track, but I just want to say I'm not like a phenomenal gardener.
She's not a professional gardener.
I am a noob to gardening. This is only our third garden.
I'm so proud of you for admitting that.
Why? I tell people all the time, don't listen to me. So let's get off this subject. No, I'm just kidding. So with that, one of the things that I have realized is that people with limited amount of space should do vertical gardening as much as possible. Because when you can go up, it helps you instead of having to go out and cover
take
all
up
of
more
the
space.
So me, in contrast, we have a over 4,000 square foot garden, but you might only have 100 square foot garden or less. Growing vertically is going to be the saving grace of your garden, for sure.
And I would pots too. You can grow things in pots.
Absolutely.
It's not against the rules to grow things in pots.
You can. Just think about it. If you have 10 pots up against your fence, if you have a fence, that's a lot of garden space that you're using right there.
And even if you maybe had some space to make a small garden, that would work too. You don't have to go vertically the whole time. If you have a little space in your backyard that you can make a small garden, I think go for it, right?
Yeah. So I also just want to throw out there is that there is a lady, and I'm going to blank on her name, Jill Reagan. I think she's the Whispering Willow Farm. Why am I blanking on her name? Anyway, she talks about gardening in a small space. And so if you are looking for more into that subject than what Trudi and I can offer here, I would highly recommend seeking her out, finding her on social media, because she really gives excellent tips if you have a smaller growing space.
That's good advice. Good advice, Janelle, sending people other
My
places.
advice is sending them to other people.
Go to someone else. Don't listen to us. We know nothing.
I'll tell you. When you can stay with us, I'll tell you, here, listen to us. And
we know something about this.
We're going to outsource.
So another thing with small or gardening in general, you have to know your zone. So if you're going to grow in the ground or just in your atmosphere, I don't know, not atmosphere.
Your environment, your climate.
Thank you.
That's fine.
Yep. Yeah, words
Why does it matter, though? Why does it matter?
What do you mean, why does it matter?
Why does it matter knowing what, growing zone, or at least close to what your growing zone is?
I don't know.
What would you...
I'm not the gardener.
Yeah,
I'm not the gardener.
You and Eric have had a garden longer than I have. But the main reason is you know your frost dates. Right? You know when the last frost is, and you know when your frost is going to start in the fall. And when you can kind of go off of that, then you are able to plan your garden accordingly. You know when you can put stuff in the ground. It is a guideline, though, because there is a lot of people who maybe plant earlier than when it says that they should and they get away with it. It really just depends, because everybody, even within those zones, has their own microclimate. And as long as you figure out what your microclimate is, it is going to help you further down the line of that. I've also found really helpful as a resource, there's an app called the Seed Time app, and it's a planning app. There's a free version, there's a paid version. Both are excellent places to start. I'll actually put it in the link down below of this that you can check it out. But you can plug in every crop. So if you were doing tomatoes, cucumbers, and zucchinis, you would put each variety that you're doing in, and then it's going to tell you if you should start it, like if you should transplant it, if you should direct sow it, and when you should do those things. And then it tells you should cultivate it, you should all these different. It's just a really cool tool, and I love looking at it. I remember the first year that I gardened, I was like so scared to garden, and I found that app and I was like, I can do this now. Like, I feel like not overwhelmed. I'm not kidding. All of the overwhelm went away when I found that
because
app.
it tells you when to plant them.
It does.
And when to harvest, when it should be ready to harvest. And I think
Yeah.
that's a really good tool, because I actually downloaded that too, and I was like, this makes it really simple to just go ahead and put those in there, and and it takes away the guessing of, I don't know, is it ready yet, or should it go in the ground? I mean,
I love that it has like a daily checklist. And so it tells you like, okay, today you need to go plant your zucchini. Today you need to go plant your cucumbers.
And then it keeps telling you that you need to go do it.
Yeah, you got to check them off or it all like stays on there and you're like, wow, I'm a failure. Oh, wait, I did that.
Just forgot to check it off. I do that with checklists all the time. What are some plants that you would suggest are good, like simpler plants, or plants that would be good for newbie gardeners?
So I always, like, my first rule with gardening, and Trudy and I did not talk about this before, but my first rule with gardening is grow what your family's going to eat, or you're going to eat if you don't have a family, because why would you want to grow something that you're not going to eat? Though it's cool. Like, trust me, the first time you harvest something, it's like, and you taste it, you're like, oh my goodness. But it's even better if you actually like what you're growing. And so that's my first hard, fast rule that I tell anybody who is starting to grow a garden. The second thing when we're talking about what you should grow is I like to grow things that make me like really happy to see the results with it. So things that are like bountiful in what they're growing. So tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchinis, like zucchini. If you grow zucchinis, your neighbors will like you at first, and then they'll hate you because you're going to be trying to pawn off all of these zucchinis. So don't plant but a couple plants, especially if you're in a smaller situation.
That and beans.
They're prolific. Green beans.
Yep, green beans. I feel like those ones are very, very easy, or are easier to, and then they're bountiful. You have so many of them. Consistently.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going to do a garden, and if you are in limited space, it really does make sense to choose a variety of something that gives you more of it, because then you have more, but you can still have such a limited amount of actual plants that you have in.
Going back, what is the first thing that they need to do to figure out what do they need to go back and do, so they have a step-by-step?
Okay, so basically figure out what zone you're in. You can... the Seed Time app, you can actually put in your address and it'll tell you what zone you're in. But you can also go to the farmersalmanac.com. I think that the USDA has like a zone calculator. If you just Google search what growing zone am I in, and then it'll walk you through the steps to figure it out. So that's first. So you can figure out when your first or your last frost date is and your first frost date for the fall. After that, I would highly recommend that you get into the Seed Time app. I'm not even, like, I have no shame in promoting that because it's so stinking helpful. And then I would think about what you actually are going to eat. And then the third thing, because that was the third, right? Fourth, doesn't matter.
We lost track of steps. It's just like the checklist, we forgot.
Good gravy. Grow more flowers. That's always, I do love flowers, but there is nothing like walking out there and just seeing like these bright pops of colors.
Now you can add that there are flowers that have benefits of being around all of your plants. So what flowers are those? We'll go off track just a little bit.
Here's what
Just
I
a
want to
couple.
know. You're like interviewing me like I'm an actual
Because
member.
I
I'm
know nothing about gardens, Janelle. Like
I'm a
I can grow things. Well,
okay.
barely,
Okay.
but I can grow things. But you have grown more things than I have, so
Okay.
that's why
Well,
you are
again,
you're the
I'm a
smart
terrible.
one.
Oh, thank you.
You're
I'm a
welcome.
terrible gardener. All right, marigolds. Marigolds are really, really good. I would highly recommend you get the French variety of the marigolds. They seem to ward off pests a lot better. Another flower that you can grow is borage. Borage is really good for pests not really liking it. I'm trying to think of all the other things. Like, there's so many, but I cannot think of them.
Well, there's a good start.
There's a good start. Yeah. You're welcome.
Great start. So yeah, you can plant some flowers that are benefit, and you can plant some just for beauty all as
Yeah.
well. If
Zinnias are like amazing. They are so stinking hardy. So I always recommend getting zinnias. And if you grab a pack of like a couple different varieties, you're going to get like all kinds. And it's the easiest and cheapest way to add flowers to your garden. And they really require nothing except some water. They require that once in a while.
oh, is that what plants need to live?
Yeah, I think
Is
so.
that why I don't do so well? Because I forget to water them?
Remember, I'm a terrible gardener, so.
Yeah, she thinks that's how it's supposed to go. Okay, moving on. So if you want to start your own garden, we have given you plenty of things to mull over and look over. Do your research. I mean, look, like Janelle said, you can find your zone online. You can also find what plants grow well in your climate. I mean, that I think is a big deal as well. Now let's move on to animals. You can have animals most of the time. There probably is some places that you can't, but
Yeah.
obviously they're going to have to look into your planning and zoning of if you can or can't have these animals. So I wrote down a couple animals that would be okay and make sense to be in someone's backyard.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm sitting here. Let's go.
Besides their children.
Oh, that's cool.
Those ones are always going to be there. You don't get to go pick those
Can't
up.
get
They're
rid
just
of them,
there.
yeah.
No. Okay, so obviously chickens would be at the top of someone's list. So I know that in small cities and whatnot, you can have chickens in a lot of them. They just require that you do not have a rooster. And obviously the rooster is the problem because it crows in the morning and all day long. And when it hears the slightest noise, or if it just is looking at you and you're looking at it funny and it crows at you, I mean, they crow all the dang time. So that one obviously makes sense. Now, what are the benefits of having chickens if they can have chickens in the backyard?
Well, I mean, not only the eggs that you can get if you have layer chickens, but I know plenty of people who raise meat birds in town also because they have like little chicken tractors that they move all over their yard. And so because of that, it's giving it fertilizer. And so your grass is going to be really fertilized and really green without having to add anything to it. So that's like a major benefit. You can, if you have a stationary coop, you can collect all that poop and you can use it in your garden as fertilizer. So there's like
Garden that we just told you to start in your backyard.
use your chickens for it. So again, you can have you have eggs and you have meat that you can use from them. Another thing, if we're going to talk about poultry, is quail. I was actually just gifted some quail last night from one of our neighbors, and I processed them this morning, and I wasn't keeping them for any purposes. But quail are really easy to keep. They're teeny tiny, and they don't make it.
I haven't had quail eggs yet. Have you had quail eggs?
No, I haven't. But they're really
so I heard that
cute.
they're very fluffy and like rich tasting, I guess.
Yeah, I've heard they're really good. So I just watched someone talk about the difference between quail and chickens, and quail are, depending on what variety versus what variety of chicken, but they're really prolific layers. And so if you can get, it takes I think 3 quail eggs to equal like a regular chicken egg, let's say a large, but the quail lay more eggs per year. That might be a great option for you. Plus the little quail eggs are super cute.
And the
If that
quail are
matters.
super tiny.
Super tiny. And if you are raising quail for not only the eggs, but also to process them at some time, They're incredibly easy to process. You really just need a kitchen scissors. That's like literally it. It's simple.
Cut them up.
Do you want me to tell
Edward
you how you,
Scissor hand
do you want me
style.
to tell you how you do it? Okay.
Well, I mean,
Can I explain it?
No, because we'll probably do one eventually about butchering animals and stuff. I think that would probably be a really good topic to cover because people are probably really curious about it. And then that way we can do a disclaimer about if you don't want to listen to that, you don't have to. I think that would probably be a good idea.
Disclaimers.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. We won't talk about it. But I will tell you. Processing chickens versus processing quail. The quail were the easiest, hands down.
We're much easier. That's good to know.
Much easier.
Another benefit is you could have some hens for yourself, hatch out eggs, sell some chicks on the side or pullets on the side, which could add a little bit of income to you. Now moving on to my next thing on the notes, it is rabbits. We brought the rabbits all the way from North Dakota.
Yeah, you did. Sorry.
And then something took the rabbits out of the... Okay, so the rabbits made it all the way from North Dakota. Aunt Jenny took care of them. Okay, we're going on stories now because stories are where it's at.
Yeah.
All right, off on a tangent. My Aunt Jenny took care of them until we moved down here. So we had 2 female rabbits and a male rabbit. The male rabbit, our dad had given me. And so I had that male rabbit, which it was an albino. And I find those ones super creepy and weird. Like their red eyes. Like nope. His name was Clue. Evie named him Clue because it was her rabbit. Anyway, so they made it all the way here. Jenny had to take care of them until we moved here. When we moved here, we took them back. The 2 females ended up getting pregnant. One had babies, and then we sold those babies once they got older. And then the second one had babies. And then that mom, something like got into the cage, ripped the wire off, and she was missing. And then she had these 8 babies that were in that pen with her, and they had their fur, but they still were drinking milk. And so guess who ended up with 8 baby rabbits? It was me. Not Evie. It was me. And so I had to feed all of them at once for, I don't even remember, I think it was still like a month that I had to feed them still. It was craziness. So, yes, I have had rabbits.
How many times a day do you have to feed them when like that?
I don't even remember. I think it was every 4 hours. It was every 4 hours. And then I think it was during the night as well. Like literally trauma of taking care of animals, like baby animals. I kind of just shut that out. And then when I get another baby animal that I've already had, and have taken care of, then I'm like, oh, cool, baby animal. And then I forget that how much work and how much it sucked because that's just how my brain works. And I think it's
you're the queen of bottle baby animals.
Yeah.
Bison, rabbits, piglets.
We have a secret one that we can't talk about.
Deer. You had a baby deer.
Yeah.
You have a secret one. Oh, yeah, we can't talk about that one.
I mean, I love taking care of animals. I think it's the best thing ever. Okay, getting back on track. So rabbits are a good source, obviously, for meat.
Yes.
Unfortunately, not everybody sees them in that light because they are pretty dang cute. I mean, you could get some ugly rabbits, but for the most part, they're pretty cute.
They've been pets. That's like the trend that went. They become pets, and so it's hard for people to see them as food sources, but they really truly are, and they're super efficient with converting their feed into meat. So like every 4 pounds of feed, they can make 1 pound of meat, versus for cattle, it's like 7 pounds of feed for 1 pound of meat. So, or more, 7 pounds or more. So like they're super efficient, and they breed like rabbits.
I knew that's where you were going. That's very true.
So they can like populate really fast, really quickly, and have multiple litters a year. They're not just, one baby. Like you were saying, that one had 8 kits. So that's a lot.
And when they are born, they are not cute.
They look like
pinkies.
Little hairless rats.
They're not cute. What are we barking at?
Us.
So another good thing about rabbits is you can also use their poop for your garden. Your garden.
Yeah,
as
rabbit
well.
poop. Rabbit poop is not hot at all, and so you can use it right away with your garden, like to fertilize.
Or you could bag it up and sell it.
You could do that too.
People love that for their gardens. I mean, I think it's a good idea if you don't plan on using it for yourself to go ahead and give that or sell that to someone else that will use that.
Let's
else
just
on
be real
rabbits?
though. I thought I was going to do that. I didn't do that. It got too messy. I didn't collect the poop. I tried. To sell it. I mean, like to keep it free from urine and like dry it out and sell it. Like I had a really good idea and plan, and I did not do that.
When we went and picked up those 2 horses in Wake Forest, they had a whole setup for their rabbits, and it was like there was a catch thing, and it would roll.
I know people
down,
who do it extremely
and they
rough.
sold it. Yeah, and they dry it out with a blower and would bag it and sell it. Like they had a whole routine, and that's what Eric wanted to do. Well, he didn't build that yet, so here we are. And rabbits obviously don't take up a whole lot of space in the backyard. You don't have to have a whole lot of space, so that's the benefit of having rabbits. Also need to check your planning or your zoning and make sure that you can have rabbits. I don't see why you couldn't, because most likely they're going to see them as pets. If you have like 20 rabbits in your backyard, they might not see them as pets anymore. So
I'm under the thought process of do whatever you want on your own.
You mean do and then ask for forgiveness later, or
no? Don't even ask for forgiveness.
Oh goodness gracious!
Raising your own food is a fundamental right. So let's just say that.
I'm a rule follower, so that would break me.
Oh, come on over to the dark side. It's better.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so moving on. We obviously you could also have ducks, because ducks are about like chickens.
Ducks are really gross.
Ducks are disgusting.
Yeah.
But
they're really messy.
They're super messy, which if you don't have a lot of space, I would suggest maybe not getting ducks unless you are planning on cleaning up after them a lot and having a very well thought out place for them to be. But the duck eggs are amazing. I love duck eggs.
I don't like duck eggs. I think that's so funny that you do. Yeah, not my favorite.
You don't remember using duck eggs when we baked cakes?
No, I know they're phenomenal for baking cakes and stuff like that, but like I don't like the taste of them by themselves. I would prefer a chicken egg over a duck egg. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you don't even know. You could prefer a quail egg, but you haven't had that yet either. So.
I know. Well, I'm sure I can get some. My neighbor has some.
Okay, so if you want to run down the ducks lane and get some ducks, then I guess go for it. Maybe do a little research before you get the ducks, because they are disgusting. I will say that. Have you ever heard of anybody having bees?
Yes.
In a small area?
Yep, I have.
Do you think that would be
I think that's a great thing for people to do. Bees do not require that much maintenance. And again, I'm going to give some shout outs where shout outs are due. I have a friend named Adam Martin, and he is into natural beekeeping. So if you are just getting into bees, go look at that way of keeping bees over keeping them and having to feed them sugar and sugar water and all that kind of stuff. So go find him. I think it's Being Kept on social media is what he's at. I know tons of people who keep bees in town and do it successfully, and their neighbors don't mind, and most of their neighbors don't even know. Like bees, sure, they go out and they collect pollen to make honey and things like
but
that.
There's already bees out collecting pollen.
Yeah, so
and
it's
honey.
It's not like they can be like, oh, the only time that they could maybe wonder if they knew that you were keeping bees, if there was if they swarmed. They split and they left the hive, and then people would be like, what's going on? But then they'd be nice, hopefully, and call you, and you'd go catch your swarm and you'd start another hive. So
I have no clue about beekeeping, and so I find it quite interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like I should probably learn about it.
You should, because it's really awesome. Like, we use a ton of honey here, and so I am really looking forward to the day that my swarm traps actually catch bees, because they have not this year. So we don't.
You're trying to catch bees?
Hey, bees are for free if you can catch them in a swarm trap, and if it's free, it's for me.
Okay, Jim Slow.
And Ben and my husband.
Oh my gosh. It covered all of the animals that you possibly could have. I'm sure there's many more that you
Oh,
could
I'm sure
possibly
that there's
have in your
more.
backyard.
Yeah.
Word of advice, like we've talked in the first couple episodes, prepare before you get them.
Mm-hmm.
Don't just wing it, because winging it is not a good idea. Speaking from experience.
Yeah, for sure. So I think if I could write down people and put them in the captions of this for each of like these topics, throw you their way, maybe people that are doing stuff on a smaller scale or in in a smaller acreage. I have a friend who, I don't know if she keeps bees, but she has goats. Oh, we couldn't talk about goats. She's on like a less than an acre, and she has goats and she has meat birds and chickens and all of that kind of stuff. So she like is thriving. She just wrote a book. Her name is Cassidy. I will actually put the link down there so you can find her too, because I think it's pretty cool what she's doing on a very small space with large scale, like truly.
Right. I think it's a good idea to take in all the learning in that you can about different things. And I think especially if you don't know anything about it, to learn from someone that does is a really big deal.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to start.
I like that because you can really get a lot of money invested into each of these things that we talked about. And so before you do any of them, you really do, like Trudy said, you need to prepare yourself and figure out at least where to start without buying a zillion dollars worth of equipment to make each of this work. Like, because you don't need to do that.
No.
You just talk to someone who's done it for a while and they can tell you how to bare bones it and then add on as you're going and making it a smart decision.
You don't need the most expensive cages and the most expensive. The simplest things are the best things.
Correct.
Right?
Agreed.
So what about if they can't get the things in the backyard that they want? Maybe they need to find someone who has meat. Maybe they want a beef or a bison or whatever. Where do you I have a couple ideas of where they could go to find the information or to ask around, but where do you give advice for them to go and find?
Yeah, I'm just gonna make a plea out there before Trudy. I think you should share what resources you have, and if they were the same as mine, I won't share. But my plea is check locally to you. There is many people who sell online and ship across the whole United States, and I think that's amazing, and that's a way to get good products in people's hands. But there is someone that is local to you that is doing that already. They're just not shipping. Maybe you don't know about them because they're not great at advertising or marketing, but it doesn't mean that they're not there. So start asking around people that you know in your circle and say, hey, I'm looking for a half a beef. Do you know someone that is raising beef that maybe I could go? And you'd be surprised how many people know people that are doing that. Another great source is to find a farmer's market. A lot of towns have farmers markets, or cities have farmers markets now. Go there, see who's growing food, ask them. Let's say they just grow vegetables. Say, hey, I'm looking to get some chickens, some meat birds that are already processed. Do you know anybody that is selling those? And if they're not at the farmer's market, they probably know somebody within their network that is doing that. And so I guess, again, I'm just going to reiterate, my plea is to stay local. Thank you to the people who are taking on the work and are shipping across the country, but stay local as best you can.
Right, because that money that's staying local is put back into your community. So I think that's a really good idea to start there first.
Your farmers need your help. So keep them around by buying their products. If you can afford to buy their products,
because we don't want to go back to where have all the cowboys gone.
Where? Oh,
stop singing that.
I know. I'll get a copyright infringement.
Anyways, so Janelle pretty much just spot on. I mean, obviously, if you don't have a farmer's market, though, you could go to a butcher shop and you could ask. Sometimes they have a wall in the butcher shop where people have put their cards and whatnot if they have animals for sale. Google. Yeah. Yep. Google. For sure. Or an online search engine. Obviously, it doesn't have to be Google. Okay. But you can...
I was going to also say, you can reach out to me and let me know the area you're in. I have connections with a lot of people across the whole United States, and I bet, more than likely, we can find you someone that's fairly local to you.
That's a very nice thing.
And I would love nothing more than to connect you with your local farmer.
That would be so nice, Janelle.
I know.
That's if you answer the phone.
Send a couple messages. I'll answer by the 4th.
Eventually. Okay, so what besides, so let's say obviously beef is one of the main things that people would be searching for. Do you have some different, I mean, okay, so we got beef, we got obviously pork if people are looking for pork. Those are things that they can find locally. Bison, which Janelle does not care for.
Fine. Some people like it.
There's what other animals could they find meat? Yeah, chickens,
rabbits. I mean, Dad used to sell rabbits. People
dressed or undressed.
And
all I can think of is a rabbit in a top hat. Dressed or undressed?
That's not what I think of, but that's hilarious.
Well, okay.
No, but these people would just randomly pull into the yard. Like, we would be there visiting our parents, and they'd be like, do you guys have any rabbits? And they're like, let me go get my dad. And then he'd go out there, and he'd, like, pop their heads. I mean, he wouldn't just pop their heads
My
off.
gosh,
I mean,
Janelle.
like, he would process them right there. They'd get to pick out the rabbit they wanted, and then he would.
Yeah.
It's funny, but you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just hilarious to like think that our dad was.
And he's like, he was a pretty big softie. So that's kind of, yes, he was for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, staying on track. So we got pork, beef, bison, chickens, ostriches. Have you ever had ostrich yet?
No. Have you?
No, but I really would like to try it.
I'm not really.
We know someone that raises yaks. Yaks is another.
It's true.
I don't know what that tastes like. Yaks.
Yeah. Yaks.
Yaks.
Sheep.
Goats.
Yep.
Goats.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. What other animals am I missing? Is that, I mean, that's like the basic. I mean, if you want to get crazy and stuff, you could get more exotic and stuff, but I know that people eat camels, but I'm good.
Yeah, no. You know, I was even thinking today, like when I was processing those quail and then I cooked them up for supper.
Oh, quail.
I was waiting for someone to be like, oh, they're so cute. How do you eat them? And I was going to say, do you know that I grew up eating snapping turtle and squirrel? Like, this is like a step up.
They're cute though.
Sure, they are cute. But squirrels are cute.
You said oh, I was gonna say fish. You can find someone that raises fish locally too, catfish or whatever other fish you're looking for. Or I mean, we obviously live by the coast, so we have the ocean and all of the fish there too. But people do raise fish. It's not just livestock. So yeah, so we started in the little city, and if you can't find or if you can't grow it in your backyard, you can find it somewhere else. And so that's what I wanted to cover today, and I think we covered pretty much all of it. I can't think of anything else that we need to cover.
Yeah. So if you have any questions about anything that we shared, just send us a message over on Instagram. That's where you'll find most of it. The Farmstead Revival. And then you could also, I think, some of the streaming platforms, you can drop comments underneath. Maybe.
We would love to see comments because I feel like most of the time
we get messages. Like people send us messages all the time, but like when's your next episode?
Sorry, Janelle doesn't share any of this with me. I know nothing. So
this is my favorite comment. You want to hear my favorite comment that I get all the time? I was listening to your episode and I couldn't tell which one was which. Like, meaning they didn't know who was you and who was me.
So to tell the difference between me and Janelle, Janelle is very logical and eloquent
when she speaks.
Oh, sure. She's eloquent when she speaks. And then you have me that's just blunt, honest, to the point, and just says the most random things in the world. And that is just who I am. So yeah, Janelle's the older sister. She's just more polished. I would say I am rough. That's fine. How you tell the difference.
Yeah, that is true. That is a good. We should have a little like note that says how to tell the difference between Janelle and Trudi.
Janelle is polished rock. Trudi is rough and jagged rock. You're welcome.
Oh, good gravy. All right, now we're moving on to the part of the show where we ask each other a question, a random question that we did not give the other person before we started this, and we have to answer it off the cuff. Trudy?
I'm the one that's going to ask the question first.
So this is the best because I get to introduce it, and then she has to ask the first question, which gives me time to remember my question or find one if I didn't have one.
Okay. Let's think. Let's think. It might take me like 5 hours to do this, Janelle. Thank you very much. In all of the states that you've ever lived, which you've lived in a couple of them.
I've lived. Can I name them
okay,
all?
name them off. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I lived in Wisconsin. I lived
Do you
in
know
Alabama.
where I'm going with this first?
Probably.
Okay.
I lived in Wisconsin, Alabama, North Dakota, Tennessee. 4.
Yeah, 4.
It's not that many.
She's lived in 4 states. I've lived in more states than you have.
You have?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you moved to you were Wisconsin, Illinois, North Dakota, North Carolina.
Oh, so it's only 4.
No, that's 4.
Okay, maybe I haven't lived in more states.
Well,
I almost did. Actually, so I take that back. I almost did because we almost moved to Missouri. Or Arkansas. One of the two. Arkansas.
Oh my goodness, speaking of Arkansas. Something came up and I saw Yellville and I was like, Ben, my parents had bought land in Yellville,
Yeah,
Arkansas.
we almost moved to Yellville.
It was really pretty there.
So
lots of chiggers in the grass.
Oh,
and I brought
gross.
them home to Wisconsin, just so you guys know.
Out of the 4 states that you've lived in, which one is your favorite?
This is really hard for me.
She doesn't want to hurt feelers.
No, I don't care. It's really hard for me because all of my babies were born in North Dakota. I met Ben in North Dakota. Like, that's pretty special to me. I love the weather in Tennessee, though. Like, we're having the most normal year, I think, for Tennessee. Maybe a little bit wetter than normal. I don't know. We don't know because this is the first year it's been fairly normal. And so it's been like so enjoyable to actually have spring. I don't know. I think Tennessee. I've really, really loved like kind of what we've like evolved and shifted into. I love having the garden, even though it's been like it's a lot of work to get it set up, especially when it falls on me to do that the most. But I love like now taking the cows and making sure that I'm utilizing all of their milk, and I've been making cheese this freshening. Like, I've loved that. I love I don't want to say who I've become because I'm still the same person. I've just added in other things that have now become really important to me. But I think Tennessee, yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Nothing about
Well,
Wisconsin.
yeah, I gotta ask. I loved Wisconsin. Like, we had a really, really good childhood for the most part. But I always said that I never wanted to move back there. Like, I knew that I was going to leave when I was old enough for some reason. It just wasn't the place for me. Watch, now God will move us back there next year. Like,
I would laugh so hard.
So would I.
Man, I would be happy. All right, what's your question for me? Yeah, you were supposed to be thinking of a question that whole time.
What's your favorite memory with Dad? I feel like I have to ask that because every time we do an episode, like, he's mentioned at least once.
That's because he was a huge part in both of our lives and in all of our lives.
And especially of like what we're doing, you know, like what we're talking about in these subjects. I agree.
I honestly, okay, so I have to say this before I answer the question. I just said to Eric the other day, I said, Eric, what if Dad hadn't died and he had moved to North Carolina with us like he had planned? Could you imagine what it would be like? And Eric goes,
shenanigans?
Eric goes, yeah, he'd be bugging me and telling me I gotta fix all this stuff for him because he broke it.
Yeah.
It's like, very true. That's very true. But it would be still really cool to have Dad on the same place. But okay. Anyways, favorite memory of me and Dad. I don't know. There's so many memories with Dad. Like, I don't think I could just pick one. Like,
bring one that comes to mind.
One that comes to mind. Oh my gosh, Janelle. Like, I don't even know. There's so many of them. Okay, fine. Most recent, I think I said this in another episode, but like one of my favorite things that I actually have a voicemail on my phone that that I listen to sometimes. It's just really random, but we were doing produce and it was like we were processing the produce, taking it out of the plastic from the grocery store and feeding it to the pigs. And then Dad had butt dialed me at the same time. So then I got it all recorded on my phone. And so Eric had thrown a tomato at me, I think, and he hit me with the tomato. And then I was like, Eric, stop! Or something like that. And Dad's just laughing, like his big, ho, 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 like not Santa Claus. Doesn't sound like Santa Claus, but big, big laugh. And then he throws something at me as well. And then we're all laughing. And then it was just like, I miss his laugh, and I miss those moments where it was just fun to have Dad, like he was just always around us, and I think I just miss him in general. So
yeah, that was a good one.
Sorry to make you cry.
It's okay.
You gonna be okay?
Fine. Yeah.
He doesn't sound like Santa Claus.
No, he doesn't sound like Santa Claus. I think it just kind of like hurts a little bit, maybe more than a little bit. But just because, like, what we're doing now, he would have loved to be a part of both of it. Like,
all about it.
Even in North Dakota, I mean, you guys were doing stuff together, but like we were so stinking busy. Like we never did anything together. But now, like the way that we are both living, he would have been just so excited to be a part of it. Like,
he would have come.
So
he would have been
excited.
going to visit you all the time.
He would have, yeah.